bad. It's just that it takes a memorizing.
Yeah, it makes sense though, and it's like you just got to be on it.
So when it comes to the sound report at the end of the day, first thing I would do is go to sound report info. And this part's pretty straightforward. I would just go through and relabel project, producer, director, etc., etc. Maybe I would leave a lot of them out if they don't, or if they're not relevant, if you know what I mean. Like for example, job. And just leave that for none because we're not on a job. We're in school.
Would I want to reset all the settings when I get the mixer?
You could. You would definitely want to make sure. Actually, yes. Let's just say yes. You definitely do want to.
Okay.
I'll have it set up a certain way the night before, for the mocks at least, the night before.
Okay. So
one thing you can do, you can set everything up way ahead of time and save a preset
onto
your card.
My card. So I'm gonna get my card like now, literally today. I'm gonna order it. Okay. Awesome.
So anyway, so back to the sound report, you'd fill it out as you like. Some of them have current selection. So that means in another menu, whatever, for example, the file type we've chosen is, that's already set up in another menu setting. So this is just displaying whatever it's currently set to.
Okay.
Right? So this is just reports for the editor to read. So we're not changing this wouldn't actually change a setting. It would just change what's written on a report.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. So some of these are not relevant, like job, like
it doesn't change anything. It just changes what's written on the report at the end.
You got it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's exactly what you said.
And then, yeah, so some of these current selection, that's just based on how the menu is set up.
Okay.
So once this is filled out, once this is kind of prepped.
It's like the first thing I would do, probably.
What's that?
It would be like the first thing I would do.
You could.
Like besides, like do all like the, we'll just do settings in general as the first things, I guess.
Yeah.
You would
probably want to do your settings before the sound. Well, definitely before the sound report.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in terms of when you do your sound report, when you fill out those details, you could do that ahead of time. At the end of the day, doesn't really matter.
Because as long as I'm keeping up with like the slate and the scene, it'll all keep everything tracked for me, so I could write it all at the end of the day if they were moving pretty quickly.
Sure.
But either way, they have to wait for me to change the scene number, the slate number, I should say.
The point is, you can fill this out ahead of time, but you'd want to print it after.
Okay.
So you'd print it at the end of the day when it's looking at your whole file selection.
Okay.
So it reads all the files and includes them in the report. That's why we actually print it at the end of the day. So I showed you how to get to it to fill it out. It's just in the file storage submenu.
Yep.
To actually print a sound report, this is where it's a little bit more complicated. So file storage, file list, not take list this time, file list.
What was it, take list before?
For the changing slate and take information,
yeah.
It would be take list. But whenever we're looking at the literal files recorded, or if we're looking at memory card details like this is showing the CF card. This is showing if there were an SD card here, we could choose between the two. We could decide to print a sound report in only one card or in just the other card.
Okay.
So since we only have one card plugged in, I'm going to use CF. I'm going to select it, highlight it with the wheel if necessary, select it, and let me just double check. Oh, so we don't have any recordings in here right now because we formatted, right? So just to create a folder, I want to record one recording. Scene, slate 7, take 2. Okay, so now I go back into file storage and file list, select that memory card, and I guess the last person to use this recorder.
I just wrote that, today.
Oh, so that was you. Okay, so you wrote Stay Alone for the title. So now we're going into that folder to tell the device where to put the sound report. And here's our one file that we just recorded a second ago.
How do you know if it wouldn't be obvious that it was scene 7 that you recorded? Because it's just a random number.
So we can switch between file list and take list like this.
Okay.
I can select scene, slate 7, take 2, and I can see all of the details. So, so at this point, what I would do is I'd kind of flip between this folder. Messed up, sorry.
It's the dial on the left to go from take list to, what's the other one?
Files.
Files. Okay.
But realistically, I would be concerned more with the takes as you go. The files are more.
Like when I print it, will I know which is what? Is I guess what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the best way to say this without being confusing.